Good afternoon, greetings and salutations. This is Passionate Bliss, and I am going to combine episode 8 and 9 for Married to Medicine. I'm gonna, from now on, go ahead and combine them all together because I do watch all three at once, and then I procrastinate if I don't do them all together. So, but I'll try to keep it brief. Marissa and Adam. This couple they still seem to be in a happy little bubble, but it does come to light when they meet with the group and the therapist as well to discuss the status of their relationship that they have not discussed anything intimate, and it is in fact a surface level relationship. And at that time she shares something and he tries to deflect with humor to move past the awkward situation, but I don't know that he would have done any better in private. But they're still going along so far, not really talking about anything important and just having a good time. Michelle and Cameron, they're still going along very well. He's getting ready to separate from her to go back to work out of town where he actually lives, and they do discuss the fact that she may need to relocate. I do like her attitude that she is willing to relocate if she can get something remote, because she wants him to be at his job because he has job satisfaction and that he works very hard and he loves his job, and she does respect that. He seems to indicate that he'll be okay with a woman who makes more money than him, because he knows that he could make more money but he would just be unhappy. So I think that's very evolved and very emotionally intelligent for the both of them to be in that position. Devin and Caitlin, again, Caitlin has made baby steps forward, and it is at this point proving to be not enough for Devin. He tries to do things like offer her massage. She says no. She wants the massage from somebody who is not interested in her. He says, I can give a therapeutic massage. I mean, the man is an athlete, so he should know how to give and receive a therapeutic massage without it ending in intercourse, which I think that's what she's afraid of, because very rarely will a man give a woman a massage that doesn't end in sex. And so, but he's already, if she were to ask him of that, I'm sure he would oblige and not try to pursue it much further. I think he just wants to get his hands on her. And, as accommodating as he's been, that's the least she can do. But again, she thinks this is really cute. It's only a matter of time before he gets tired of it. And it looks like, from what I can see from the previews, he is getting tired of it. I always thought he was going to. And I feel like the therapist did give him a little encouragement, because see, this time the black man, that's the life coach, he was doing a lot of the talking. And so the couples he didn't get to talk to, because the white lady who's the licensed therapist, she had them, and she did a lot of coddling of these women who don't want to come out of their comfort zone, but they still want to be in a marriage. She did a lot of coddling, and he did not do any coddling this week, and that's good. That's what they needed. And so he told this man that your light shouldn't diminish because you're in this marriage. If this is a loving relationship, it's going to ask for more from you, not ask for less from you, because this lady is abnormal. The other lady coddled her as if she wasn't abnormal, but she is. And so I was glad that the other life coach, whom the licensed therapist, she seems to respect his opinion a great deal. Even though he's not a licensed therapist, he's a life coach. And so Mecca and Bella Jolie. The only thing that stuck out to me was that Mecca clarified, and he let me know, and I think he also let Bella Jolie know, that his percentage question did not come out the way he intended it. And what he meant was not, I only find you physically attractive 60%. What he meant was, because he elaborated, he meant his attraction to her as a life partner. And by that, he was saying that he meant how she loves, how she responds, how she, interacts with him, how she, copes with, whatever comes up. And of course, he would only, if you're going to use that as the standard, of course, he would only be 60%, because he has not received enough information on her, and he's not witnessed her behavior long enough to see a pattern forming, to say whether or not. I think he was maybe answering the question, level of commitment to this marriage. I think that is actually the question he was asking and answering with that 60% scenario. But the way he put it, it couldn't have been perceived any other way than as physical attraction, because I was confused, because it's clear he's physically attracted to her. And then he went on to elaborate the last time, talking about her figure, and she had a wagon behind her, and he was being a little bit extra with it. But then the life coach said something about him being performative. So here comes this Asian woman talking about she found him performative, and he was more honest this time around, and she appreciates that. I guess they are given license to comment on one another's relationship status. So first of all, for one thing, I think that people will hear someone else use a word and think that that's the right word for them to use, but they don't really know what the word means, and so they shouldn't be using it. So, she called him performative when his behavior was not performative. When you're being performative, it means that you're saying what you're saying for impact and for a certain outcome. And very rarely do you mean what you're saying. Now, he was going on and being extra about her having a wagon behind her and all of that. But he meant what he said. He absolutely loved her figure. So he wasn't being performative. He was just being extra. And since you're Asian and nothing about your culture is extra, you would not understand that. So I really need these people who are from different cultures to not comment on things they're not cognizant of. Because it's very common in the black community for us to clown and to carry on and be a little bit extra. For God's sake, look at his daddy. His daddy is extra. You thought Mecca wasn't going to be extra? So really you talking out of turn and labeling somebody when you're not even sure what the label means, and you're not using the label accurately, because he absolutely meant everything he said. And that's why at the time Bella said, no, I don't think he was being performative. I think he meant what he was saying. He did, because she's his wife and she's also black. All the black people who saw him saying that knew he meant what he was saying. I mean, he's 28 years old. We wouldn't say that at our age, but a 28-year-old male, absolutely, he's going to talk about she got a wagon behind her. So, really just mind your Asian business, because nobody's coming over there telling you how to behave in your Asian and your interracial marriage. So please stay out of black people conversation. And at first I was upset because the black life coach, he has both of the black couples. And I was thinking that not Bella and Mecca, but I definitely felt like Nikki and Sean needed a therapist, a licensed therapist. And I didn't know if he was qualified. I didn't think he was until I actually saw how he handled them. I think he's actually more qualified, and it may be experience-based, than the therapist is, because she's doing a lot of coddling instead of giving these people advice that will help their relationships succeed. And so he didn't find anything wrong with, Mecca's issues. But he did mention the word performative. But the way he mentioned it was different. And he may have even, expressed it that way. But again, when they got home, and I feel like this is when Mecca actually committed more to Bella Jolie, when they got home. And she said she didn't appreciate all that. And I don't know what their intent was. I get the therapist trying to understand us and help us, but you, Asian lady, I don't know you, and you don't know us, and you can't label him as performative when you don't know him. And clearly you don't have too many black friends that you're hanging out with. So you don't know black people, and you don't get to call us performative and label us when you don't know what we got going on. And she said, no, I need for Mecca to be Mecca. And Mecca said, well, hey, that's all I can do is be me, because everybody else is taken. So they clearly received it, that she didn't like the way he was acting. And that's not her place to correct his behavior. If he's extra, then he's extra. His people is extra. You can tell that from his daddy. So, yeah, keep your cultural insensitivity and your cultural unawareness to yourself, ma'am. And Bella clocked it, and Mecca was insulted by it. And when she let him know, no, you need to be you. And I don't know what her intentions was. And he was like, what, is that a mic drop? She said, yes, it is a mic drop. There's one thing about her, she don't play nobody clowning her husband. She don't play that at all. And I think if that Asian lady do that again, Bella gonna have something to say to her. But because even at the wedding, when she didn't know him, she was like, okay, not too much on my husband. And she didn't even know him. She don't play that at all. which I was glad to see. It was also funny to me that how Mecca made her actually go and clean out the porta potties. She followed him to work to the porta potties, talking about she want to go and help. So she put on her boots and everything and came out there and put on his work jacket and then got to tell her, I don't want to do it. Mecca was like, nope, come on in here. You said you was coming to work. So he really made her do it. And then she did it. She cleaned it out. And she seemed like she was so proud of herself that she cleaned out the toilet. And so, and she was smiling and happy and laughing and playing the whole time. And they seemed like they had fun doing it. So, I mean, that's really cute. Clearly, they found the right woman for him, because I wouldn't have even pretended like I wanted to go and help you clean out no goddamn porta potty. So, clearly, he found the correct woman. And I'll know that Mecca is slow and delayed if he actually let that girl get away from him. And I take back my accusation that he only likes white women, because I just didn't understand why he was seemingly trying to wreck this. And they did identify that with him, that he does have self-sabotaging behaviors, because he does, as the therapist pointed out, struggle with feeling worthy of finding someone to love him for him. I think primarily because of the mother not wanting anything to do with him, and then the stepmother leaving and not having anything to do with him again, including disconnecting him from his siblings that she bore his father, which tells you how much of a hot mess this daddy is. If two women leave you and don't want nothing to do with you, they would rather forsake one, the child of her body, and the other one, a stepchild, and his relationship with his siblings. You are so toxic that they would rather cut off Mecca to avoid dealing with you. And that's very unladylike. Most women are not like that. So you done found two that don't ever want to see you again under no circumstances, not even for Mecca. Oh, the daddy is a hot mess. He is a hot mess in a relationship. And I think it's too bad that those women never spoke to Mecca, even as an adult, to let him know that maybe they felt like, to preserve myself, I can't be worried about Mecca. Or, you know, your daddy is such a detriment to me that I sacrificed you, so that he would know that it's not you. You didn't do anything. It's your daddy we don't want no parts of. And unfortunately, you a part of him. Dealing with you is dealing with him. And that's just how much they hate him. And I felt like that would maybe help him a good deal if he knew that. And would receive it that way. But children aren't like that. Children are going to think that everything is their fault and they did it and it's on them. But I think it's totally the daddy, because the common denominator is him. And I get that after having had a traumatic marriage as well. So when Bella Jolie took his side in that matter and said, no, she was out of pocket, you ain't out of pocket, you remain you. And he took that, and I could really see how much that meant to him, for her to, you know, defend him and be on his side. I don't know if he had been in relationships in the past where the woman would have said, well, you were performative, or criticized him or whatever, or try to make him not be who he is. So I felt like that was really, I saw a huge shift in his whole demeanor when she said that. So I'm excited about them again. So I think they're high up on my couple's success list. Okay, and then also, I can go ahead and talk about Sean, because I'm talking about the black couples, Sean and Nikki. They seem to have really had a huge turnaround. They did meet with, again, the black life coach. And I think he wanted to have both them black couples because he's black as well. And he's going to understand the dynamics of what they go through as black people, as professional black people, as intellectual black people, and, you know, the dynamics of black men and black women. So I feel like he deliberately requested them black couples, even though a couple of them other couples need his help more. So, and he uses those sessions when they're in together as a group to get in on them and tell them, you know, and keep it real with them and not try to coddle nobody. And so, when he was with them, I think the key point that he brought out was for Sean. Because Sean was trying to get out of his own way, but he just couldn't do it because he had set himself up in her mind as the enemy. and I have to fight him at all times. He's not gonna wear me down. But the thing about these two, and what I liked about these two, is that they keep trying, and they don't give up on each other. And part of that is because they are so very intellectual, they are so very educated, that they are winners. They're used to winning. They're used to finding out what it is I have to do to win, what's the recipe. And he said, I feel secure when there's a plan. I am exactly that same way, and I have said that before. He said, I feel secure when I have a plan. And she made me feel insecure because she has no plan for the future that I've heard of staying in this marriage, of staying with me, of committing. And so for that reason, he would not share with her, and he felt insecure about sharing with her and being vulnerable and exposing himself to her in case she's not here to stay, or, you know. And she actually received that. And when she was telling him how he felt, and the coach helped him to remember to keep it on her and not give a soliloquy on you, and he then actually could receive what she was saying. And when he gave him it's like he gave him a learning tool. And because Sean is an educator, he was really glad to have that, because for him, he was able to formulate a plan to use it to make this relationship work. And so it was the plan about examining your conversations and see what you're doing, and look to see if you're communicating. I remember the letters were CPR. It was what is it? It was control, power, and respect. And he began to realize how he was trying to do all those things: have the power, win the argument, be in control, make her respect him, and how to communicate. He was able to see with that, you know, with that key or that learning tool, he could then reshape his conversations to communicate in a way that she can receive it as not an attack. And she was receiving it that way. And because they identified early on that they had communication issues, they just didn't know how to get past the communication issue. But he was beginning to use the tool, and according to them, they were having wonderful days. You know, when he asked them to rate their relationship, that also works for an educator, because they're used to a passing grade or a failing grade. She said the relationship that she was in with him was at a 2. He said it was at a 7.5. Now that took me out. How you think you at a 7.5 when you fighting with this lady every day? She done put you on the couch. She done walked out on you, and you think you in a 7.5 relationship? And that's why he said it seems like y'all are in 2 different relationships. And they were. And so they then proceed to tell us at the counseling session with the other couples that they have been rating themselves. I think at the end of every day, they said they be getting 9.5s and 9s and a 10 one day, and they was both agreeing. I was like, okay. And then they went around. Let me run through the other couples. Let me get my notes to see what I got written about these other couples before I move on. I already talked about Devin and that hot mess. The MAGA couple, this lady's a weirdo again, and I'm gonna stop using, because that's such a lazy term. I'm gonna stop using that term. She takes him home to meet her family, hopes that the family finds something wrong with him that she can use as a tool to, I guess, pick him apart and avoid this relationship and this marriage, and have a reason to deep six this marriage, because this lady really has a fear of intimacy. That came out in the counseling section, and the way it came out, because she kept talking about how, you know, she was rigid in the bed while the man was holding her all night. That in itself is abnormal. Why are you rigid all night? I could see if you thought at first he was making a move on you and you got rigid, you know, but after an hour, you know this man ain't trying to do nothing, because you can hear he's sleeping. So it seemed like you would have relaxed as well, but she didn't. She was up the whole time wanting the alarm to go off. So that in itself was abnormal. And then she said more about that, and the doctor asked her finally, the therapist, you know, what is it that's causing you to have this fear of being intimate? Because she again walked back the touch and all of that, and the way she responded, what I felt like, what came to my mind was that this lady may have been date raped before, and she had stated earlier that she would just give in and have sex so the person would stay. but she didn't really want to have sex. And so so she's often felt physically compromised, and it has developed in her a fear of intimacy, which is inappropriate in a marriage. This lady needs therapy. I think that she has been, you know, people be saying rape, but my channel ain't monetized, so I can say date rape if I want to. But I think this lady's been date raped before, and she's not, because she's clearly not gotten any help for it, so she's not in a position to admit that on TV. So I really think this lady is too damaged, and I'm positive this is going to fail with this MAGA couple, because that same nasty personality is back. She brought the man home to her family, hoping they would find something to give her a reason to trash this relationship and sabotage it, and they didn't. And her family knows that the problem is her. The mom was trying to tell him, look, once you get past this hard shell, she's so warm underneath that she kept saying, oh, I'm loving, I just feel like I haven't been loved. I was like, well, I can't tell that you're loving. And, you know, you ain't gonna get love if this is how you've been acting. It ain't gonna get the love. Some of these guys might hang in there just to screw you, and then they go on about their business. Because nobody's dealing with this, what she's putting down. And so the family knows that she's the issue. The sister even told her, I feel like you want me to give you a reason. There isn't one. And if he got a red flag, you can probably work on it with him. You know, I mean, he did charm the family, and the dad even liked him. The dad was like, but the dad, you could tell that the mama might be similar. And the dad was telling him, you just got to get past this. You know, the whole family knows it's her. She just don't know that it's her. And she would have never been married had she not been put on Love at First Sight. She would have died alone, and she gonna sabotage this as well. So that's that on the MAGA couple. Let me see what else I got in here on my list. Let me see, Morrison Adam. Sorry about that. My notes. Felipe and Tori. Not much has changed with Felipe and Tori. They still going around saying each other's praises, but she seems like she still ain't putting out for this man, and it's becoming a problem. And he's talking about wanting to, you know, worrying about, am I gonna keep the passion? He's worried about it because you ain't giving him none. That's why he's worried. He seems like he's oversexed, and he don't know how long he can hold out with this nice guy routine, and so that's what his real fear is based on. Let me see. Which I'm showing the camera in. Mega Bella. Okay, who else? Sorry about that. I think that's everybody. I talked about everybody. Yeah. Let me double check you guys. So, tell me what you think. Tell me where you are with this, and yeah, let me know below. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'm again still traveling. That's why I'm outside sitting on the balcony, and I'm gonna go and watch the other show with the housewives, and I'll do a video maybe tomorrow. And then I'm probably not going to make any more. No, I will, even though I'm going to be out of town for 2 weeks, but I'm still going to make some more. But hopefully, the reason I'm outside is because my son, the smoke alarm is chirping, and I know that annoys a lot of people online. So I'm on the balcony, but I ordered some batteries. I'm going to put them batteries in there tomorrow. Or I'm going to have him put them in there tomorrow. Because it seems like they don't hear it. And I was ignoring it at first too until I got ready to record, and I pulled out my camera, and I was like, they gonna hear that chirping. So that's when I noticed it was chirping. And so so we'll go from there. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have sweet dreams and wait to find them real. And last but not least, the therapist went around and asked them, if your decision day was today, would you say yes to this marriage or undecided? Marissa and Adam both said yes. Felipe and Tori both said yes. Mecca and Bella Jolie both said undecided. Bella Jolie answered first, and she said undecided. I think that actually surprised Mecca. And he also said undecided. Nikki and Courtney, they both said undecided. Michelle and Cameron, they both said yes. Sean and Nikki, they both said undecided, but Nikki also elaborated that she would need more consistency of what we have today before she could say yes. So she's not opposed to saying yes because she hopes that the attraction will then grow. And I believe it will. I believe it will because he's not an ugly man. He ain't even got man boobs. I believe that attraction can grow as long as he continues to act right. Let me see. Devin and Caitlin, they both said undecided, but Devin's is absolutely not. His answer is going to be no. Caitlin says she's undecided. Her answer needs to be no, but I believe she would marry that man if he keeps on accepting her crumbs of affection. Okay, with that being said, y'all have sweet dreams. Wake to find them real. Sorry about the chirping. The batteries will be here tomorrow, and we will get those smoke detectors changed.